What I've learned from Zoom auditions. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazing wife, Brooke. Boom. I love her. Oh, and I've saved one of the best tips from this video to the very end, so be sure to stick around. And now, on to our topic. What I've learned from Zoom auditions. First of all, let me preface by saying that before 2020, it was super rare for actors in Atlanta to even get a callback. I know, weird, right? But see, here's the thing. After 15 plus years of self-taping in this market, the decision makers have become comfortable casting actors directly from tape. Mostly for smaller co-star roles, but even for guest star roles and recurring roles. With that in mind, when Zoom callbacks started happening in 2020, I got really excited. Finally, I get to see the casting director who I haven't seen in months or years. I get to interact with the director or other decision makers. What a novelty! And at Get Taped, we started hosting Zoom callbacks in our studio for actors. So you get the benefits of great lighting and our same camera setup that we have in our normal self-tapes. Our secret is that we hook our camera into our laptop, and that becomes our Zoom camera. Check out this little video I did last summer showing one of our lovely actors, Millie M. As you can see, instead of using our laptop or phone for the Zoom camera, we're using our standard camera. This allows the actor all the freedom they want to move, and they look great. So you can see Millie gets to use all of the space that she normally gets to use when she comes to get taped. She's not sitting 3 feet from her camera lens. So that's why actors like to come to us for Zoom callbacks. And just a little hint, don't tell anyone, but we offer it for free. But what have I learned from these Zoom auditions? Both the ones I've been a part of and the ones I've helped other actors with. The struggle is real. First of all, if technology tends to get in your way, you need to set aside plenty of time for setup. You want to be able to have everything set up and still have time to go relax before your call time. That way, when you come back to your setup, or you decide to come to a service like us, the only job remaining for you is to be present, to show up, and collaborate. Because if you're still adjusting your camera angle or your backdrop moments before your audition, you won't be ready to work. You won't be fully prepared. Hurry up and wait. At an in-person session, when you show up, you can kind of gauge how long it's going to take before they call you in, because they might be going by appointments or they might be going by the order of how you showed up. But pretty quickly once you arrive, you'll discern whether you have 15 minutes or 45 minutes before you're up. That's helpful information. Unfortunately, with Zoom, you don't always know when you'll get called in. Some casting directors are pretty savvy with Zoom, and they will use the chat feature while you're in the waiting room, giving you a heads up of when you're on deck. Some casting directors aren't as savvy, and you just get surprised 15 minutes after your call time. Hey, I guess we're live. So just be ready for either scenario. And even once they invite you in, sometimes they just want to chat with you and then send you back into the waiting room or into another breakout room. All of that popping in and out of rooms can cause anxiety, so remember to breathe. Control what you can. Given that you have no control, or sometimes warning, about when they'll bring you in, you still can control when you'll be seen. Sometimes the Zoom settings are such that your video will be off upon entry, and that gives you control of when you will turn your video on. Sometimes, for whatever reason, that setting is the opposite. And so if you still want that control, you can place something over your camera lens so that even when they let you in, you get the control when they see you. Adding that little element of control can be a nice little psychological trick to make you feel like you have just a tad amount of power and control over the environment and over the audition. Take it or leave it. Oh, and a note on audio. Sometimes they may ask you to talk louder than normal. Based on how Zoom works, if you are having to read with someone on the other end of the Zoom call, if they're louder, then Zoom will prioritize their audio over your audio, and it might get cut out completely. This is crucial if the scene has cutoffs, overlapping dialogue, or, God forbid, they call in 4 actors at a time to do improv for a commercial. Yes, that has happened. Overall, it behooves you to become really savvy with Zoom, or EcoCast Live, or any other app that you're using. This way you can troubleshoot if something is off in the moment. And again, this is why having someone dedicated to handling the computer, camera, and other technical elements will make it so much easier for you. Ask questions. In-person auditions, by comparison, can feel so much more straightforward than these virtual auditions. Even if you're not the type to usually ask questions, feel free to establish things like, can you hear me okay? Who is going to be my reader? Can I use my own reader here in the room? What are my eye lines? Do I only look at the one person on the screen or anywhere else? And so forth. Because even though it's not 2020 anymore, there are still a lot of people who are not that familiar with these Zoom callbacks. So it's better to ask first. Be authentic. And finally, this tip applies to every audition ever. And that's to just be authentic. Don't worry about your setup once the audition starts. Just trust that you are enough. And if you're well trained and well prepared, then you can just jump into that river and see where the current takes you. I guess that way. When you're done, it will feel super awkward to just get kicked off the call, so be ready for that. Have a plan in place as to how you will process the audition after it happened. But before you start getting super negative, just realize that every other actor had to go through what you just went through. After all, you got the call. Consider it a win. Addendum. 2 more things I want to add. 1, get clever and record yourself, either with the camera that you're using for the Zoom call, if you have a fancy setup like us, or find another device with a camera. I guarantee you have an iPad, iPhone, computer, something else with a camera in your house. This way you can review the callback afterwards and hear everything that went on. 2, and this is the most important piece of advice that I alluded to at the beginning of the video, and that is have reliable Wi-Fi. In fact, plug directly into your router if you have the cables to do so. There's nothing worse than being in the middle of your scene and suddenly you realize the call is dropped. You've been warned. If you have any other questions about the nuances of Zoom callbacks, feel free to comment below or send us an email. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set or on Zoom.